Welcome to the Kentucky Atheist.
Cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, nah, unlikely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to today's very special show that we're going to start doing once a week, I guess. I think if we are atheist activists, and especially if you consider, something like humanism important to you, then these are things we need to cover, even if it delves into politics, which is the second least favorite conversation for people to have besides the religion one. So we're going to do that because us atheists, we're so well liked. I've got Robin with me today. Robin has her own channel. She's linked in the description. She's linked in the chat. Go check her out and subscribe. We're going to talk about, well, let me give a little, I don't know, caveat here to everything. So what we're going to talk about today is what is factually in Project 2025. What the MAGA right plans to do the day Donald Trump takes office. And these things are not our opinions. They're not opinion. This is the plan. It's in writing. They've signed it. This is the plan. Now we will give some commentary on the implications and our thoughts on that. And I'm not saying that you have to necessarily agree with us on everything. You may not agree with us on some things, and I encourage that. Let's talk about it. But the message that I want to get out to everybody today is go vote. Make sure you go vote. I'm not even going to tell you who to vote for. Just go vote, because if people vote, these awful fascist fucks don't make it into office, and that's also a fact. So. With that, hello, Miss Robin. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm been trying to prepare for this, reading that 900-page book of lunacy, and
it's a delightful reading, isn't it?
It's a lot. I mean, it's full of just
legal jargon.
I mean, they have done nothing during this presidency but write this book. You know what I mean? This is a coordinated, major undertaking that they have planned. And, it's Trump is trying to, get his name away from it. I've actually had a friend on Facebook that said, oh, he says he didn't have nothing to do with it. I like we should just believe everything he says. And, but yeah, he does. I mean, most of the authors are from his camp, and he has, spoken about the Heritage Foundation several times, and so did Vice President Pence too. So,
let me also tell you guys the list that we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about other stuff too, but the list that we're going through today, I'm going to show it on screen. It's also posted in the community tab. Feel free to share that thing everywhere you can share it. Print it out and put it in places where people will see it. Give it to your friends. Give it to your family. It's really important that people know and are informed of what's going on, because while they talk about these things, they do it politically, and they talk around the subject always. And so while you may have heard a lot of these things individually, every one of these things that we're going to go through are factually in this document. They are the plan. So please share it, post it.
Plus lots more.
Yeah.
Plus lots more. I mean, that's just a sampling.
we couldn't get through the whole thing today in a reasonable amount of time if we wanted to. So we're going to go over some of the worst things, but they are in it. First of all, something that the reason for this show and why I think it was necessary to do this particular show with Robin. A lot of people have talked about Project 2025 and done really good content on it. John Oliver did an excellent show on it. But I think that they usually just talk about how the civil service jobs will change and be replaced with political appointees, but they don't really talk about all the other stuff. And I think it's important that people know all that other stuff too, or at least as much of it as we can get through. And so I think it was really necessary to make this. I know a lot of people are covering Project 2025 right now, and it's a big thing, and I'm glad it's all over Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And I'm glad to make another show about it, because maybe somebody sees this one and not those other ones. This is really important, scary shit, guys. And it's as serious can be. So all the playing around and the joking and all that, I mean, that's how I do things and stuff. But this is dead serious. It's
well, one of the most
the difference between having a country and not having one.
One of the most dangerous things about it is it completely overhauls the executive branch. It hands an unimaginable amount of power to the president of the United States and wrestles it away from Congress and the courts and their ability, you know what I mean? And it gives the president so much power to enact policies without having to have Congress's support for it. Like one of the things, Title 42 that we used during the pandemic, you know, to shut the border down. Okay. That was an emergency proclamation, you know, that was allowed by law. This one actually has a Title 8 that would allow the president to do that at any time. I mean, and so he can override any law Congress makes.
Right.
By just stuff like this, like that.
So I've got an article and I've got a list, and then we both have some other stuff too that we want to cover. What do you want to do first?
Well, I was going to say,
and if you have stuff, we can cover that too. I mean, whatever.
The first thing it does is it does a whole bunch of stuff to the executive branch, and what it will also do is it will give a whole bunch of power to like Trump. If he wins this election, he will gain so much power that it will be hard to ever get it back. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
They're
They're
planning on having elections, but you know, it's going to be like, you know, armed people at the election place. You know what I mean? Watching you.
I look for that. Yeah.
And they plan on it, and they're going to use military to, you know,
try and intimidate and
like if you try to protest something, they're going to send the military out to break up protests. I mean, they plan to redo everything. They're going to put all political people in all positions. They already hiring these people. They have
tens of thousands of them.
Yeah, you can go on the Heritage Foundation website and apply for a job right now.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to do background checks on you, and if you got any left-leaning, because we are woke, leftist, communist. All that wording is in this document too.
Oh yeah.
It says gender ideology, and it says woke ideology, and they ramble on about you know, DEI.
We're going to show you. We're going to show factual sources today, but as MAGA would refer to it, radical left propaganda. So we're going to show you.
And it's also going to do away with public broadcasting, pretty much.
They're taking over the news stations. There will be no.
The private ones they can't do nothing about except just kind of bully them. But like public, like PBS. Did you know?
Well, I mean, they've already partially.
Sesame Street is woke left ideology. Okay, that's what it actually names Sesame Street in this document.
Yeah.
It was all NPR, anything that is public broadcasting will become state media, which means
I look
that
for channels like mine to be gone. I look for the atheist community on YouTube. I look for them to add guidelines that make it to where you're not allowed to do it anymore.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's a certain amount of freedom of speech, but they can bully YouTube into making certain. I mean, we're not completely without rights. We still have constitutional amendments that protect some of our rights.
Well,
but they're very limited.
Trump has said he wants to get rid of the Constitution, so.
Well, he's not going to be able to do that, and the Heritage Foundation doesn't claim to be wanting to do that either. But they're pushing the limits of it.
That's the plan. That's the plan. Now, how much of this they're able to carry out and what they're able to do without being sued and having it reversed and all that, that's a different story. But go ahead. But the things that they can do by replacing all those civil service workers with political appointees is that these political appointees aren't placed there because they're good for the job. They're placed there because they're loyal to Trump, and they'll carry out whatever he wants to carry out. And that's really what prevents us from asserting our rights, because the system's going to be fixed against us. And I don't know how far it'll go. I know how far they want it to go, but we're looking at, and it's not hyperbole. This is something I want to address real quick. Hold on. So a lot of people have said that all these people that whenever Trump was endangered the other day, that they're fucking stupid. They're bad people and everything else for saying things like, oh, they missed and I wish they'd have hit him and all that. Let me say something. I don't condone political violence in any way. I don't think it's the answer. I don't think it's how we get there. Not at this time, anyway. But for the people who have been attacked and hurt and had their total existence threatened by a fascist regime like MAGA, it's not unthinkable to think something like that. Now, the difference is that you need to think through these things, and then whenever you really think about it, how bad would it have been if that would have happened? What would have been the consequences of that? Because Trump may be the head of this and maybe the worst authoritarian out of all of them. Trump may be all those things, but he's not the only one. And this doesn't go away with Trump. I mean, it's going to be a thing now. It's going to be a threat for quite a while. And so I just want to say, like, I think that it was kind of hurtful for a lot of people to say stuff like that. And there were many YouTubers that said that. And look, again, I don't condone political violence. I think what that kid did was wrong. He shouldn't have done it. I don't suggest that in any way and don't want it and never will. But it's understandable to think that whenever the person that is directly that you see in front of the camera threatening your existence and your way of life and your everything, to think something like that. And you shouldn't be made to feel guilty or called stupid or anything like that for it. I don't think that's cool.
I said something. I posted, how do you miss the head? And that, my dad sent me a message, and he don't even have Facebook. My family took a picture of it and sent it to him. And he said, your posts on Facebook are disgusting and sick.
Yeah.
And I said, and so is Trump. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could care. Yeah. I mean, I thought
calling a duck isn't sick and disgusting.
I mean, I would rather he just dropped dead from a heart attack, but that way, they can't blame him. But they
right.
They probably figured out a way to blame us too. But thank goodness. I mean, I held my breath though to see who the shooter was, and I will admit that I probably think everybody did. Please don't let it be. Please don't. And it wasn't none of those people. It wasn't an undocumented immigrant, a trans person, a black person. It wasn't none of the boogeymen that the right likes to claim. Yeah. It was one of their own.
It seems like
it's hard to understand.
it seems like from his social media posts on Steam that he was he mentally ill and was looking to get famous and recognition for doing this.
Because he looked at both of them, right? He had looked at both presidents.
Yeah, he looked up the DNC, Trump, and Biden. He was just looking to be famous. And, you know, with the information that they've gathered so far, that family seems to be extremely Republican, most likely MAGA Republican. And they
well, his dad's a libertarian, I think.
Yeah, but none of these things seem to mean that it was politically motivated. Doesn't seem to be the case. And again, you know, I don't condone violence against anyone. I don't think it's the answer. I think there are extreme times when you have to defend yourself and your life and things, and that's one thing. But I don't think going out and committing acts of violence fixes anything. It just enrages people and makes the problem worse. So, you know, but
and there's a bunch of conspiracy theories today about that it wasn't a bullet that grazed his ear. I don't know.
Oh yeah, but they've got a picture of it.
Well, he's refusing to allow the you know, the public of his like his medical like thing, you know, like the doctor. Hi, Amber.
Yeah. What's up, Amber? All right, so let's get into this. I'm going to go with article first, okay?
Okay.
And because I want to give an overview of what we're talking about, and then we'll talk about the specific things on the list, and then we'll talk about some things that aren't on the list. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's add this. All right. So nobody can really see that, can they?
It's pretty small.
Let me see if, well, that didn't really help. Hold on a second. I will, this is a Washington Post article that I've taken notes on and stuff. That's better. All right. So this was in the Washington Post. It's by Amber Phillips. It's, hold on a second. What's it called? What is Project 2025? And the biggest changes it proposes. All right, so I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to hit a couple parts in it. PC is going to post a link in the chat, and I've got a link in the description for this as well if you want to go read it on the Washington Post website.
Let me say something
Go ahead.
read on the website. I went, you know, on the Heritage. You can go to the Heritage Foundation website, and they're sold out of these books. But you can read it. You know, it's got a thing where you can read the mandate. You can read it all the way through. They have several other books too, actually, that you can buy that are all sold out too. But the president said that he realized that they weren't ready for when Trump got elected. They were not ready for that. They had not prepared. And so he said that they realized early on in the Trump presidency that they had not gotten prepared for another Republican president to do this. So they've had this plan.
They didn't know they had to hire a staff and all those things.
Yeah, they didn't really. Well, they just didn't realize that they didn't really know Trump was going to win until just right close to the election. You know what I mean? I mean, it was expected. They weren't expected to win.
They didn't have people in place to take off.
And so this is why they went crazy at it, getting this wrote up and putting this out and trying to hire people and everything so that they can be ready to hit the ground running the very first day as soon as Trump takes office. Yeah.
So let's go over a couple of I'm just going to highlight a couple things here. Project 2025 is the 900-page plan that calls for extreme policies on nearly every aspect of American lives, from mass deportations, politicization of the federal government, and in a way that would give Trump control over the Justice Department, to cutting federal agencies and infusing Christian nationalism into every facet of government policy by calling for a ban on pornography, promoting policies that encourage marriage, work, motherhood, fatherhood, and nuclear families. This is, again, like Robin just mentioned, mainly by the Heritage Foundation. And if you don't know about the Heritage Foundation, they're they've had some pretty bad takes on a lot of things. I think this is their first fascist foray into government, I guess. But they've said some awful things in the past. Project 2025 calls for.
They've been meddling in policy and politics for a while.
Yeah, this is some of their worst, though, I think. Anyway, there's others that were dangerous and sick and gross. I think this is the most threatening thing they've done, though.
And this is actually here's the thing about it is they cannot endorse Trump because this is actually a 501c3 or something like that. They're not allowed. They're under tax, protection, so they're not allowed to endorse Trump per se.
But they're very involved with government, though.
But Trump's name is listed like couple I don't know, like 100 times or something like that in this document.
They're not paid by the federal government, but they do Trump's bidding, and this is his instruction booklet for how to change an American democracy into an authoritarian dictatorship.
This is far beyond Trump. I mean, Trump's going to be. I mean, Trump is their tool to get this.
Yeah, Trump has to do.
They're going to be running the country. These people are going to be running the country.
Trump is
playing golf and taking pictures with Putin.
Trump just has to allow him to do it. Is the thing.
Yes, he gets to be president. He gets to be on TV.
Yeah, he seems to be on board with this, and he's lied and said he doesn't know anybody at Project 2025. Meanwhile, he appointed the head of the Heritage Foundation to his cabinet. So, I mean, he is lying. I can show you clip after clip that he is lying.
Yeah, a bunch of the authors, like 100 and some of the authors too, worked in his cabinet. Like staffers.
Yeah, they're not getting paid. The Heritage Foundation isn't getting paid by the federal government, but all the people in it work for the federal government, or at least a lot of them. It calls for abortion limits, slashing climate and LGBTQ healthcare funding, and much more. It would make the federal workforce to be political instead of nonpartisan civil servants, implementing policies on everything from health to education and climate. The executive branch would be filled with Trump loyalists. Now, what they mean by that is there's a lot of jobs that support the government and help the government run. The different heads of the Department of Education, the IRS, the National Weather Service. All these things inform the government, and they're government entities in the sense that they report to the president and the executive branch. So the plan is to take all these heads of these departments that they keep because they want to just do away with many of them, but we'll get there. They want to appoint Trump loyalists who don't necessarily know anything about the program, but will do whatever Trump says. And that's really the plan here. He wants every position of power, whether it be judges or CEOs or heads of national programs like this. He wants them replaced with loyalists that'll do as he says, when he says, and whenever it comes down to breaking the law and things like he asked Mike Pence to do, he wants people that will say yes instead of no.
Well, J.D. Vance will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the whole point in that. He knows he's a chicken shit and won't go against him.
Actually, I have some thoughts about that. We'll talk about later, but I think there's going to be some issues. I think there's going to be some major problems right there.
Well, I actually thought about doing one on J.D. Vance next week. You're welcome to join me for that one too.
I think
you can just come do all these with me if you want.
I think.
You got to work next Thursday. Well, yeah. You know what? We could do these shows because I'm calling it Politicality. And we could do these shows, do them on Wednesday one week and Thursday the next week, and you can do them all with me if you want. I don't care.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I think they're going to fight. I think I saw a report like one of the women that was on Bulwark that worked. That it was like a, she worked under Mike Pence as like one of his staffers, or whatever. She said that any time that Mike Pence got more media coverage than Trump would get mad.
Oh, I bet.
You were not allowed to ever overshine him. You know what I mean?
No.
It was like she said we would start getting calls if he was come into the if anything was said about Pence and they didn't say nothing about Trump, and
they'd have to claim to catch up off the walls.
And so I don't think that J.D. Vance will be as easy to hide as Pence was.
Right. Well, JD Vance has the problem too that whenever it comes time to actually run against the Democratic Party, that they're going to bring up all the awful things he said about Trump in the past and expect him to reconcile those things because he, we've got on one hand, we've got right-wing media saying, yeah. We've got right-wing media saying, well, it's the fault of the liberals because they have said Trump is Hitler and a threat to democracy and all these things, and that he's a fascist and all that shit. And the problem with that narrative is that, first of all, those things are mostly true. I mean, I guess the Nazi thing is a comparison that's, subjective, but Trump definitionally is fascist. He does want to be an authoritarian. He does want a dictatorship. He does want absolute power. I mean, those things are all true. So you can't say that pointing out the things that Trump wants to do causes violence when it's true. It's Trump wants to do such extreme things that people disagree sometimes violently. But all that aside, let's go. Let's talk a little bit more about what it means to put political appointees in all these spots, because when we go through this list, it'll help you to better understand why each of these is such a threat. And we'll talk about some of them, not all of them, of course. But if our government, all these departments that are supposed to take, for example, the CDC, right? The CDC was very important to us during COVID, and studied the COVID and put out a lot of guidelines and stuff that absolutely saved lives. They were instrumental in getting the vaccinations set up and saving millions of lives, because we lost millions of lives worldwide over this. And so the CDC, it's important that they do their job for the American people, focused on the science and the Center for Disease Control. It's important that they focus on disease control. By putting political appointees at the head of all these jobs, and he plans to change the law so that these jobs are no longer civil jobs, they're government jobs. That's how he plans to get them there. And again, they already have the people lined up and ready. They're just waiting to take power. But whenever he replaces all those people with political appointees, their only goal will be to do whatever Trump says. Sure, they'll do their job and the place will keep running and everything will keep going until it becomes something that Trump needs to stick his foot in. And whenever it grabs his attention and he wants to then impose fascist laws and rules on everyone, he'll use those departments to do it. And the people running them will not only allow him to do it, they'll encourage it. So that's really why that is such a huge problem, because MAGA is a fascist, authoritarian, I'm trying not to use the word Nazi, but it's the one that comes to mind most. Let's go through this list, and we can stop and talk about any of these you want to talk about. I'll read off 4 or 5 of them, and then we can talk about, whatever we want or keep going. Project 2025 plans to end no-fault divorce. You won't be able to just get a divorce if you're a battered housewife or whatever. If there's violence in your marriage, you won't be able to just get a divorce for no reason. They'll do away with that. A complete ban on abortions without exceptions. This also includes emergency care in the ER for women who have life-threatening injuries due to a pregnancy. So it's horrible. Ban contraceptives. They've been trying to do that and failed, but they'll do it again. Additional tax breaks for corporations in the 1%. Yeah, we'll all be working to pay the taxes of the rich people.
It actually just limits contraceptives. If you're married, it goes back to the thing to where if you're married, you can get a prescription from your doctor, but single women will not be allowed to access prescription contraceptives, just like they used to be when it first came out.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, clear conservative values, Ember says. Definitely. This is those good family values they're always talking about. Higher taxes for the working class. Elimination of unions and worker protections, which I think is nuts. I mean, no more overtime, no more no more workman's comp, no more unions, and you're paying more taxes and getting less, including insurance. Raise the retirement age. They want people to work for them longer. They need, in order to give those tax cuts to the rich people, they need people to work longer into their age, because they, you know, all your taxes you're paying are going to those rich people, essentially. I think it's funny. Rich people always say, "I'm not paying for some lazy fucker to get food stamps or whatever." When first of all, that's not exactly how that works, and it's silly to say that. But second, technically, it's the people that work and pay taxes, the working class, that all the money that billionaire has comes from. And so what they're saying is I don't want to have to do anything. I just want people to work and pay my taxes for me. And then I want to bitch and say, because I'm rich, that it's me paying for everything. So that's a crazy thing. But anyway, I digress. They want to cut Social Security, cut Medicare, end the Affordable Care Act, pretty much all entitlement programs, anything that helps poor people and those that need to put food on the table and stuff. They want to get rid of all of that. None of that. They want to raise prescription drug prices. They want to do away with the insulin stuff Joe Biden helped to fix, and they want to raise drug prices, take the cap off again, and let them raise them as high as they want. They want to eliminate the Department of Education. How fucking nuts is that, Robin? Let's do away with the Department of Education.
Well, they want everything to go back to state. State, you know, the education will be under each state, and it's real messed up because they're going to link a lot of anything, like any kind of, if you receive any kind of federal funding for schools, you know what I mean, then it's gonna cost you a lot of
freedoms.
You know, freedom. Yeah. They're gonna tell you what your curriculum has to be. They're gonna force those kids to take the military entrance exam.
Hold on a second, Robin, because these next three after it all relate to education. Okay. So let me read these off and we'll talk about all of them. So not only is it to eliminate the Department of Education, but they want to use public taxpayer money for private religious schools. They want to teach Christian religious beliefs in public schools. They want to end discounted school lunch programs. Those are all things, directly affecting schools. And think about what all of those together do. I mean, schools are nonprofit organizations.
Too.
Yeah. Yeah, I just didn't do that because it was in government. But but they want to take everything away from the schools, everything that they use to run the school and to teach kids, and they want to give it to private religious schools, and then they want to force religion into the public schools. So that means that it's not going to be comparative religious studies. It's going to be Christianity, faith, and doctrine. It's not education. It's religion.
Well, see, and they won't be able to, like, if it's a private school. Say you had a private school that was not a religious school. In fact, that was against religion. That private school would be okay, because that private school would be protected because they don't receive federal funding.
Right.
They would be protected to teach whatever they wanted to teach in school.
Right.
Just the ones that receive federal funding will be susceptible to being told what to teach and what to do. And like the next things, we've got the African American and gender studies and the banning books on slavery. All of that is in the public schools. And I'm going to have to beat my dog. I don't know what I'm going to do with her. I'm going to lock her in the bathroom for a minute.
Please turn off your camera if you're going to commit violent acts against an animal.
I'm not going to do that violent again.
And I think because while this is factual and these are the things that are in it, these are not things that I've extrapolated or inferences. This is what the things it promises to do. Yeah. Go ahead, PC. I think you can give her one, can't you? Go ahead and do it. I don't have YouTube open, or I would. But I think one of the implications of this, and this is my opinion, the other part was fact, this is my opinion. I think that what will happen because of capitalism is that private schools, since they'll be able to teach what they want, and they'll be able to teach, period, because public schools, if they don't have funding, are going to be awful. Private schools will rise up, and there'll be a competition to however much you pay is the education you'll get, and they will make education based on your income. So poor people won't. I'll fix it in a second, PC. Poor people won't be able to get good education, and the what they do get will be religious, propaganda and doctrine, which we know what taking uneducated people and filling their head with religion their whole life does, because we live in Kentucky, the Bible Belt, where it's like that everywhere. So
Yes.
look at the education rates compared to the number of religious people in that area, and it'll tell you the story. I'm pretty sure they match almost perfectly.
Well, the thing about it is when you look at the numbers, because they're in on the Heritage Foundation, they do have all the education numbers. They are bad. I mean, the current system is failing students. But the thing about it is a lot of that is because of Republicans. The conservatives they meddle in stuff. They meddle in things and break it. Then they go, look, it's broke. It's not working.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, they cause stuff. So they've done that themselves intentionally. They just do stuff to cause dysfunction, and then they say, look, that's not working.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're exactly right. I moved us out so it wouldn't cover your face whenever I put up comments. Dingo's with us. Who's a good boy? Hey, Dingo, come on, boy. Let's go for a walk. All right, now we got trees busy. I got to meet Dingo here a couple weeks ago. Such a good dog. Anyhow, moving on. You mentioned banning African American and gender studies in all levels of education, which again is crazy. Ending civil rights.
Would be for public. That would be anything that accepts public funding.
Yeah, right.
If it's a private thing, they don't meddle. They're not going to meddle in it.
Right. Yeah, as long as they're not receiving money from the government. But all these places run on federal funding, so that's the problem. In civil rights and DEI protections in government, again, we're going back to the 1950s here. Civil rights in America, unfortunately, is an inevitable conclusion, or an inevitable event due to our history with chattel slavery, and it's unfortunate that some of those things happened, and it's not a happy, pretty story, and it doesn't make America look great again. So they want to do away with it. But, we learn our history and the things that we overcame in the past so that we don't repeat those things in the future, or we try our best not to. And they want to erase our history about slavery by doing that and banning books and curriculum about slavery. They don't want slavery taught in any schools that are federally funded. They don't want Americans to know about this history because it's not good. They want everything to only be "Go America, I'm American and I got a gun." They want it to be that rather than to understand our history, learn from it, and do better.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to, they're not going to allow any. They want to go back to the Civil Rights Act as it was written in 1969 or whatever, and in there, it's there's
I think it's 1965.
65. It's not very good. It's not very
Yeah.
protective. But they don't want any student to be made to feel as if they should in any way feel any responsibility for what happened during the Civil War. I mean, it's, we do not quit. We do not blame our and I did not hurt her. She just hollers because I pushed her away.
Nobody thinks you hurt the dog.
I did not hurt her. I just pushed her away and she yelped.
Yeah.
They I mean, they want
Right.
to pretend like that. I don't feel like that I was responsible for slavery, but
No.
I do understand that the wealth of this nation was built on the backs of African American slaves.
Yep. Yeah,
It was.
and it's important to know that,
especially in the South. You know what I mean? The wealth, and I understand, and I don't know what to do about that. I don't know how that looks as far as trying to fix it, but I think the very first thing we have to do is admit it.
Yeah, well, here's what I think, Robin. I think being patriotic or being a patriot or however you want to say it, loving America doesn't mean by only focusing on the good parts and pretending you're perfect. I think that being a proud American is about seeing the bad things that happened and that we overcame them, and that we used our way of government and a government ran for the people, by the people, and of the people to overcome these things. I think that's what makes us proud Americans, not erasing our history and pretending that we never made a mistake.
Here's what it amounts to. They're scared to death, and I get this because I've talked to Maya and him about this, and Jay both, and it occurred to me, my own dad, reparations. That is what was the final freaking point for them. They are so frightened that they are going to have to pay reparations.
Yeah.
To that community. That that it's like we've got to just eliminate the belief, the whole knowledge about it happening, because that's the only way. I mean, it's unreal. It's unreal how selfish people are. And my dad's the same way. He just throws a fit over it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it looks like for reparations. I don't think that sending out a check to every black person in the country is the ideal. I don't even think that's the plan. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that providing that the communities with the resources to help themselves rise out of their situation is what reparations looks like.
Yeah, I think there's a better way to do it than just handing out money. But if that's what they decided to do, I wouldn't be necessarily against it. I wouldn't protest it. I think there's better ways to use that money for sure, and they should use it to improve education and the lives of
housing,
minority communities and poor
jobs.
Communities. I think they should, I think there's a lot of better things they could do than just hand money out that would be more effective and actually repairing the damage that they've done to the lives of black people. But reparations is like, to so many people, it seems like a dirty word. And, let's not, you don't have to call it that. Let's just do what's right by the people that helped build this country to what it is today. We've had famous people of all different ethnic backgrounds do amazing things in science and technology and help our country in uncountable ways. So rather than just get mad when somebody talks about reparations, let's do what's right and support these people that have helped build our country. Instead of overlooking the genius kid that lives in a poor community because he lives in a poor community, let's lift those people up on a pedestal and give that poor kid all the things he needs to be successful and to help make the world a better place.
Joe, curious that comment. Do you see those comments?
By Daniel Price.
Yes.
Lincoln free slaves a political move, not a humanitarian measure. He was hoping to secure him re-election. Later, he tried to recolonize all.
No, that's not the one. That's not the one I'm talking about.
This one?
Yes.
if people should be getting money simply because their ancestors were enslaved, then a lot of ethnicities would be giving money because many cultures practice slavery around the world. Well, we're talking about America. What's right for everybody else doesn't necessarily mean it's right for around the world, first. But second, again, you know, me and Robin both agree that we probably shouldn't just hand out money to people, that there's a better way to do that, that you can fix people's lives and help these communities and things without just handing out money. So yeah, is that good?
Yeah, you did great. You did great.
Thank you. Thank you. So moving on, ending climate protections, increase Arctic drilling, deregulate big business and the oil industry. All of those things, there's like this thing that the right goes around saying that somehow under Biden we lost all this oil and we're not producing oil and all these things. Yet the numbers actually say that we've produced more oil than ever in history. We have more oil than ever in history, and we're drilling everywhere. The reason that we're not drilling places is because the companies that own those lots aren't drilling there. It's not because the government's stopping them. It's their choice.
We issued the permits. They had the permits.
Yes, they could drill there if they wanted. They choose not to. It has nothing to do with Democrats or Joe Biden or
the cost at the time of like the materials, you know, that they have to have, and tools and things. Right after the pandemic, right after the pandemic, everything was pretty expensive. You know, like any kind of, because supply chains were broken up so bad, and so it was going to cost them a lot more money to drill on those permits. But they've got the permits. You know, it's their decision not to drill.
I want to put what a few things PC has set up here because they're excellent. And also PC, thank you for being on top of all those links and stuff. You do such an amazing job modding. Reparations can help repair the consequences of human rights violations and inequality in many ways, including acknowledging harms. Reparations programs can acknowledge and address the harms caused by human rights violations like slavery, segregation, and the denial of fair opportunities. And promoting justice, the United Nations says that effective reparations promote justice by addressing serious violations of internal human rights and humanitarian law. And she continues, because slavery involved kidnapping, barbarism, and the stripping of language, culture, and heritage. Many Black people are unaware of their specific African heritage and which country, in fact, their ancestors were stolen from. Excellent points, PC. I love it. And you're exactly right. I mean, let's acknowledge that this awful thing happened. Let's be honest and upfront and own it, even though it's awful. And let's look at it like this. Okay, we'll do what we can to fix this, but we've learned from this and we overcame it, and we're going to do better. Hundreds of years of slavery were ended by Lincoln, and it doesn't matter what his reasoning was and all that. I could care less. It was wrong, and he ended it. You know, it's not wrong to acknowledge and take accountability for the things that you've done wrong in the past, and then look for ways to continue to do better and improve. That's what successful societies are built on. That and how you treat the poorest people, not the richest people, which actually goes back to a Bible verse, but that's a tangent, and we're not going to do that today. So,
I mean, it's hard to have a peaceful society.
Sure.
And have huge, differences in equality. Like in you can't have just huge amounts of really poor people that you oppress.
Yeah.
And have a peaceful society, because eventually they're gonna rise up and eat the rich.
Yeah.
You know, and it happens every time. See, Daniel, that's just such a bad take.
That's not what it's about. First of all,
we benefit so much. It's not your fault. No, it's your fault that you're being this way, though.
Let me read it, and then we'll address it, so those that aren't reading it can hear it and know what we're talking about. So Daniel Price says, not so much, Crystal. It's a sins of the father scenario. People shouldn't be forced to pay for something that wasn't their fault and they had no part of. Nor should anyone get paid because of Hugh. So that's not what it's about. First of all, Daniel, there's no thing saying that it's anyone's fault that's living. It's just acknowledging that we put African Americans into the minority and poor communities that they're in today by doing the things that we did, and then addressing it and fixing it. I don't think that you're being. I have no problem with you saying what you're saying, Daniel. I think you're wrong. I think you're mistaken about what it actually means and why we should do it. But you're free to your opinion. You're not necessarily saying we shouldn't do it. You're just, well, you do say we shouldn't there, but you say it for the wrong reasons. When before that, you kind of said things that agreed with it. Anyway, just understand it's not about taking fault for anything. That's not what it's about. It's about supporting those people that we oppressed for hundreds of years, which led to them being in the situations they're in today. We caused these minority and poor communities because of things like red line communities and stuff like that placed black people in certain areas and would only let them live there and not allow them to own houses in certain neighborhoods and things like that. And as time went on, these things have led to, okay, well, we need a school for this one area because there's so many people here now. So they put schools there and they become black schools. And that's the only schools they have. But because it's a minority and because it's an impoverished area, our government doesn't support those people the way it does rich white areas. And that's just a fact. And it may not be on purpose to be mean to another race. It's just a product of our past. But we need to acknowledge that past and show that we're still taking steps to treat all people as people equally. Everyone should have a right to the same education. Everyone should have a right to have food on their table to eat every day.
That's one of the reasons why that school funding is linked to property taxes.
Yeah,
because in rich white more affluent areas, they have higher taxes on property, and so that school will receive more funding. Right. And in the lower,
when you have projects and stuff like that, the school isn't receiving that funding because it's already federally owned.
Well, I know, but like your school, your local school is funded by property taxes in your county or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
A lot of it, a whole lot of it, and so that's why it's linked. That's why it's linked to property taxes, because it actually puts more money into the schools that are in our wealthier areas, and it limits the funding that goes into poor communities.
Yeah,
schools.
For sure. And many of those poor communities are composed of minorities because of the things.
And that was the intentional reason.
More.
That was the intentional reason for hooking that through property taxes. I mean, that was the ideal. That's why it was done that way.
Yeah, they've been trying to only educate the rich kids since the beginning. And again, it's not necessarily that they do these things in order to oppress. Sometimes they do, don't get me wrong. But not everything that they do in this sense is meant to oppress. It's just a product of our past, because racism and especially against black people is built into our system. It's systematic now because we had hundreds of years during the beginning of our country where everything was based on race. So those things got, of course, built into some of the laws and stuff. And when you carry those things out into the future, that's when you start seeing these kind of problems that we need to address and fix. It's not about feeling at fault or anything else. It's the right thing to do. And I would be interested in anyone that can argue that it's not the right thing to do. Promote and
derailing this. I'm sorry.
Promote and expedite capital punishment, of course. End marriage equality, of course. Condemn single mothers while promoting only traditional families. I like the traditional families thing they go on about. They want to send us back to the 1950s. They don't want women to have positions of powers and be working and make money. They don't want any kind of same-sex marriages to occur and those people to be treated equally as the rich white man. They don't want anything that gives those people equal rights. They want the rich white men to be powerful and have all the money, and the women to stay at home and have dinner on the table at 6 o'clock.
I have something that promote and expedite capital punishment.
Yeah.
First of all, it takes more money to
carry out an
kill
execution.
a prisoner, carry out an execution, than it does to keep a person in prison for the rest of their life. So that's not a funding savings at all. That's not going to save us any money. And since the beginning of genetic testing, over 200 people have been taken off of death row.
Yeah.
Because, and like 400 and something released because they were, wrongly prosecuted and wrongly, convicted.
Hold on a second. So, look, it's not about misplaced white guilt. That's not what I'm talking about. In fact, I said it's not about guilt at all. You're right. There is only one race. There is only one race. That's a different conversation. But you're right about that. Technically, there is one race. Bigotry, discrimination, and such based on hue and background are very real, though. Once again, I agree with you completely. I don't know about the misplaced white guilt because I don't think it's a thing about guilt at all, and that's what I just finished saying. But the rest of that, you're correct. I agree. Sorry, Robin.
That's fine. I mean,
I thought that one was important though, because
it's obvious that Daniel's not really even listening to the points we made. He's just carrying on those talking points about,
You're welcome to get a hold of me and we can discuss it, Daniel. And it doesn't have to be on video for everyone to see. I'm happy to talk to you about this some other time, though.
I definitely oppose capital punishment. I mean,
I think that
I don't think the government should ever have the right to kill its own citizens.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I have mixed feelings on capital punishment for some crimes, but I don't think having it as a standard and a law is right either. So it's one of those catch-22 things.
Well, it depends on if you believe in free will or not, I guess.
I don't think we should be killing people as a matter of policy. I don't think that's right. But on the other hand, having spent some time in corrections in Kentucky, I do see why some crimes are worse than others. I'll just put it that way, because I'm not for really killing anybody, but at the same time, I kind of get why it's there, even if I don't agree with killing people. So
yeah, but it doesn't actually it doesn't lower. It's not a deterrent. It costs more money.
Yeah.
And then, is it ethical if you have to believe in free will to believe that somebody is completely responsible for their own actions? I mean, you can even if you believe in some sort of limited free will, you still cannot hold somebody. I mean, I don't want these people loose on society. I think that they should be kept away from society if they're dangerous. But I don't know that I think that we have a right to kill them.
No, and I agree with you. I don't think that it should be a law or whatever. I think that, again, it's not that I necessarily disagree with what you're saying. It's just me personally having experience living with people who did awful things to children and stuff. Sometimes emotionally, my response is different. When I think about it, I think that what you're saying is a more well thought out position. But sometimes, we can't deny that we have emotions and feelings about some of the things that people are locked up for. So that's all I mean on it is having mixed feelings about it. I don't condone violence in any situation. And I think definitely putting people to death is a violent act, even if you do it in a well set up room,
Yeah, I think that, and plus they went to where they went to not even. I mean, they let that one guy be gassed, and he I mean, these people that are wrote this right here, and they want to expedite it. They won't be trying to do an ethical.
Yeah, well, they don't want to look at any of those issues we're discussing. They want to say they did it, kill them, and be done with it. Yeah,
ethical executions won't be.
No,
their consideration.
No, I don't think so either.
Cheapest.
Trump will probably try to reimpose hangings and firing squads and shit like that. I wouldn't be
firing
surprised.
Squad would be that would be actually
better. Yeah, they still do that some places.
Far
you know
more
that,
humane
right?
than making a person lay there and choke to death for 20 minutes.
They still do that some places. But anyway, defund the FBI and Homeland Security. Like, so ridiculous. Like, this is just Trump. They're just doing this because Trump hates the FBI for charging him with.
Okay, I have something to say about that. Now see this list right here. They're not actually going to get rid of Homeland Security. They're going to take Homeland Security and put it under the Department of Interior, I think, or whatever, and it's under the president. It's under his cabinet, and
but they'll stop paying the. It's not. It doesn't say to do away with it though. It just says
because it will be a border. It will be a border thing.
Yeah, it makes them part of the. It makes them part of us.
Yeah. So it's that. It's like some of these are not exactly accurate on what they plan to do with it because they do not plan to defund, but they're going to put the FBI under the president too.
Well, but no, that's not that they are going to defund these places, even if they restructure them somewhere else. They're going to give them different jobs.
Yeah, give them different positions.
Yeah. Defunding them doesn't mean destroy them. It just means get rid of everything they have set up and set it up the way that Trump wants it. It just means redo it all the way Trump wants. Yeah,
they're going to move a lot of these under the president.
So
his cabinet.
So there definitely is nuance to some of these things, but I don't think any of them are actually wrong. I think there's some that there needed to be a few more words, but I still think that it would be acceptable to give this to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. They want to condemn single mothers while promoting only traditional family values. I did that one. Defund FBI. Use the military to break up domestic protests. Again, crazy as hell. And that in combination with the mass deportation of immigrants and incarceration in camps, those two things together, think about that for a minute. Some 16 million people they want to take, and they can't just send them all to another country all at once. This will take years to deport all these people.
12 million.
12 million. They'll be placed in camps with no rights, with no due process, and be held there until they feel like sending them somewhere else. And it's crazy that they want to do this. And if you decide to have a protest to speak up against it, they won't send the cops to break up your protest. They will send the military, who is trained to neutralize targets, not de-escalation, which is what we should be heading for whenever somebody is acting violently. Protesting is one of our rights. How can, the
Supreme Court's already stripped part of that, because the Supreme Court ruled to where that they could actually stop protesting.
Yeah.
And, so.
Yeah. The Supreme Court, once Trump takes back over, will just do whatever he says. The Supreme Court is just going to be a figurehead for Trump after this. They've already shown that they're not interested in precedent or history or the law. They're interested in doing whatever supports their guy. And some people on the Supreme Court are worse than others, as we know. But they've made sure that it's controlled by MAGA at this point. And President Biden's trying to do something now to help do that before it gets packed with more crazy people. Anyway, end birthright citizenship. Again, something that's part of our Constitution. Ban Muslims from entering the country. Xenophobic. Eliminates federal agencies like the FDA, the EPA, and NOAA, and more. And continue to pack the Supreme Court and lower courts with right-wing judges. So, once again, for everybody watching, this list is available on the community tab of my channel. Feel free to go get it and share it with everybody, print it out and put it in public places. You don't have to give your opinion about these things, but people should be informed and know what is at stake. and maybe this will be enough to get some people to go vote. That's why I'm telling you to do this. I will love you long time if you share this with someone. Now, I don't even care if you don't print it and go show it other places. Just go share it on YouTube. Go share it on social media somewhere. Just put it somewhere for people to see it. That's all I ask. I think that you would be doing a great service to your country by helping inform others. All right. So,
can I add a few more?
Oh, I want you to add some more. That's what we're going to do right now.
Okay, you got the TSA, the Transportation Safety Association.
Yes.
Which is what handles your air traffic controllers and your.
Keep talking, Robin. I'll be right back.
Okay. It's going to privatize the TSA. So privatize the TSA, which is always a good idea to privatize everything. Makes everything more expensive and just does, it's military. The very first day, as soon as the Republicans take control of the presidency, every member, transgender member of the military will be expelled. That's one of the things. They will be expelled. There will be they will not allow any kind of gender transitioning or anything in the United States military. Which they plan to actually eliminate that from any of society anyway. But that's the only part that they can really actually control on the first day. I'm trying to find, I've got a whole bunch of stuff wrote down. They've got, it's just really weird. It's dystopian, what they plan to do. The DOJ is going to go under the president. He's going to be, the DOJ will be a legal firm for the White House. Not so. People will be prosecuted because you go against their politics.
Yeah. It'll be controlled by the president.
I mean, they have screamed politicization of the Justice Department the whole time that Trump has been trying to be held accountable for his crimes he committed. It's politicized and that's exactly what they plan to do. I mean, this is the one thing I've learned about conservatives. Every accusation is a confession.
Yeah.
If you want to know what they've got planned or what they're planning to do, then just look at what they're accusing you of doing.
Yeah, right, right. No, for sure.
And you just follow. You can just almost always follow right up behind it. It's just
it's all projection. And I'm a skeptic about. I try to apply a skeptical way of thinking to everything. I try to be consistent in that. That's why I had to leave too. I had to go get something to drink. But I try to use a skeptical position whenever I'm addressing questions. And one of the things that makes this such an easy conversation is I talk about religion on this channel all the time, and it's eerily similar how they're trying to project their ideas and just believe things that are demonstrably false and just all the things that I see occurring reminds me of theocracy so much. And we'll have a theocracy and what's it called?
People who are deeply religious and not highly educated. They're easy to manipulate.
Yeah, I think there are. I think there are now, Daniel. This right here is something that deserves some explanation. Because I think you're right. There are corrupt people on both sides of the aisle. But these two groups are not the same thing. One group, there may be some corrupt people trying to line their pockets or maybe just trying to retain power by through money and power while they're in office. But the difference is that what we see taking place now is an attack against American people. If you're different than them, if you're poorer than them, it's a direct attack. There's no giving people rights is totally different than attacking people, saying they don't exist, and being a racist, xenophobic, authoritarian asshole. So there is a big difference in what's going on. I do agree that there is corruption everywhere where there's money. Anywhere that people are making a lot of money, there's going to be some corrupt people that want to make more money and will do anything to get it.
And Mendez got convicted.
Yes, and here's the thing, I agree with that. He should have been convicted.
And so do they. So do the Democrats. You know what I mean? They've pushed for, they've called for him to resign out of the Senate before he was ever even convicted.
Yeah.
You know, there has been no this is a witch hunt.
Yeah. I think Crystal's right. Whenever something happens on the left takes accountability, addresses it, fixes it, and moves on. Or maybe not fixes it, but there are consequences. On the right, rather than accept any accountability or consequences for the things they've said and done, they double down and then try to make laws to make you wrong. Like
gaslight you. That's what they're gaslighting the whole American people.
Yeah,
they're gaslighting.
Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah,
they've convinced half of the country that the biggest threat to their lives are trans people and climate change. How did
climate change may be true
get into this world? I mean, how did we wake up in this world where saving, making sure that the planet is livable, and 1% of the population, less than 1%, is affecting them?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just.
Did you see AOC talking about this yesterday?
No.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what she said. I'm not going to butcher it, but it was on Midas Touch. The difference is that, again, I'm going to compare it to religion, because it's like Robin was saying. There's all these things that are just not the case. You know, they're against all these things that the American people want and that are good for the American people, our country, our economy, good in every way. But they're worried about attacking groups of people and things because they don't agree with their ideology. They don't agree with, and in many cases, this is the religious right. So they don't agree with religion because they've spent their whole life excluded from it because of who they are. It's awful, and it's ugly, and it doesn't make any sense.
This is Jim Crow 2.0.
I feel like
we always try to pretend that the North won the Civil War. There's a book out that says How the South Won the Civil War, and if they take over this country, they did. That's who's doing it.
I want to say something that may be disagreeable. You may not agree with me, and the audience may not agree with me, but I'm going to be honest and genuine with you for a minute. I think that anyone who supports MAGA and the things that they are proposing to do to our government, I think that you're one of a few things. Either you're ignorant, and not in a bad way. You're ignorant to what it is they actually want to do. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, or you're corrupt or greedy in some way, and it's just about making a buck with you and fuck everybody else doing it, or you're some kind of bigot. There's not really many other choices. Whenever I have misinformed, I'll put that in with ignorant. Whenever you have like if I was to have, when I have conversations with liberal or with conservatives or with MAGA people, because my area is filled with Trump supporters. when I talk to Trump
Yeah, me
supporters,
too.
I don't feel like I'm arguing with them. I feel like I'm trying to teach them because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They will vote against their own best interest because brown people are going back across the border. Like, that's, so I think you either have to be some kind of xenophobic, transphobic, bigot, or you have to be greedy, or you just don't know what the hell you're talking about.
They're figured, Fox News and stuff. When you frighten people and you anger people, so like student loan debt, they've just pushed all that. Fox News, that pushed that, and they pushed all the stuff about the trans people, and they're coming after your kids, and I mean, it's the same spiel that they've been using for years. But now this specific group right here is what they call the Taft conservatives, from not Taft the president, but Senator Taft, and he was like a senator back in the 50s, I think, or the 50s, something like that. He is like afraid of immigrants. So are my parents, Crystal. I mean, you've talked about this. My mom and dad, the border. My dad thought that Biden should just go put the army on the border. And I said, we have a law that says this is how the border runs. And I said, it's Congress's place to change the law, not the president. Yeah. And my dad said, I don't care about the law. That's what he said. I said, you know what? Well, we are a country of laws. And when people stop caring about laws, we're not a country anymore. I mean, how can you say I don't care about the law?
It's a republic if you can keep it.
I mean,
famous words by Benjamin Franklin.
This is what happened. This is a result of letting football coaches teach civics for 40 years.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and if we're talking about families, so my grandfather was a gunner on the Yorktown during Pearl Harbor, and his son, my uncle, was a POW in Vietnam. So my family has this hatred, or at least used to. Those people aren't living anymore, and they've changed quite a bit. But my family I grew up in always was racist and had a hatred of anybody yellow. I wasn't allowed to wear yellow clothes in my grandparents' house because of how much my grandfather hated yellow people. He used to sit and watch CNN just waiting for Connie Chung to come on so he could sit and cuss at the TV. I
had a papaw like that too.
Yeah. And so, it's not, again, I'm not guilty about them being that way or me being that way as a kid. Growing up, it wasn't nothing to use the N word running around. I said it all kinds of times. I admit it. But I learned better, and we can do better. But you can't just expect it to be better. You have to want it. You have to do it. You have to put in a little bit of effort. You have to actually want to be a better person, and you have to want to treat people like people and accept that all these other people around you, no matter what they choose or how they're born or who they are or what color they are or any of those things that make up who they are, their identity doesn't matter as long as you understand that fundamentally they're people, and we should treat them all as people, even if you disagree, even if you don't understand. There's no good argument for behaving that way, and I'm proud that my family isn't that way anymore. After those people died off, they didn't behave quite that way anymore, and there's been a lot of things that have changed because of access to technology and information, and we live in a smaller world now, and so most of my family members have changed their opinions and their ways on that. Me just a little more so than maybe some of the others, but it's people can change. And again, it was a misinformed thing. The reason that I was that way is because my grandfather and my uncle had experiences that made them feel that way, whether right or wrong, they felt that way. And that's the environment I grew up in, is with people that felt that way. But it was education that I overcame it.
Yeah. I think about that group of people.
Yeah.
Those 18-year-old boys that got sent over there and everything. And you know what I mean? That was hard. That was a hard war. And you know, we tried to stay out of it as long as we could, and the Japanese, and so it's easy to see how someone in that age could end up coming to, you know what I mean? It's, you know, some of them, you know, some of them lost family, you know, lost 2 or 3 brothers or children, or, I mean, it's just, you know, it's irrational, but it's,
it makes sense though. That doesn't mean
Pearl Harbor was not a lie.
It's irrational, all things being even. Who said Pearl Harbor was a lie?
Daniel Price. Pearl Harbor was not a lie.
Oh no, Pearl Harbor was not
Our
a lie.
entry
But I do
into
know what he's
Vietnam
talking about.
was wrong. Our entry into Korea was probably wrong, and I agree with you on that. But Pearl Harbor, no.
I think that there were some things about Pearl Harbor that we could have addressed better.
Yeah, but we didn't think about. I mean, we just didn't. You know, I mean, they had to like build specific boxes to put on the torpedoes just to make them run in shallow water. We thought we were safe because we didn't have the capabilities to carry out an attack like that. We didn't think they could either.
So let me point out what I think this comes from and why I don't think it's true.
You got you have the evidence, Daniel. You can go ahead and post the evidence.
The public was not given the whole story on Pearl Harbor, and it was a matter of our government had possession of information that they didn't think was credible. They didn't think that the Japanese were actually going to attack us in Pearl Harbor.
We didn't think they could. We didn't think they could.
We didn't think they had any chance of even being able to do it. We didn't think they could get there. There's a whole thing about one of their carriers that they placed and all this other stuff. There's a whole lot that goes into that. But we did have information that there was a threat to Pearl Harbor, but we didn't think they could actually carry it out. And we did look into it. In fact, when it happened, there were ships out there patrolling because of that threat. So Pearl Harbor is a little different. Vietnam and the Gulf of Tonkin, which was used to eventually send troops there. There was a whole lot before that and a lot of nuance to this. But the Gulf of Tonkin event, which I assume what you're talking about, you're right. It was a lie. That they lied in order. They wanted to they were going to send troops over anyway, and they wanted a reason to do it, and they lied about it. That did happen, and that's all been declassified and is available as public information. They didn't tell the truth about what happened in Vietnam, but we were going to Vietnam anyway. It wasn't that they lied to go to Vietnam. It was, I think, more of a piece of propaganda, just the things that they gave people as the reason to get Americans to support it, because they knew a lot of people were against the war. They were going anyway. We actually already had troops there. I mean, that's why we were in the Gulf of Tonkin. But that, again, there's a lot of nuance to these things. Military industrial complex, completely evil. I agree. And they do run drugs. That's true too.
No, right. Daniel, no.
Look up.
I know I'm letting him divert the stream, and I shouldn't. Daniel, you need to become a skeptic and be more skeptical about the things that you accept when it comes to conspiracies and things.
Yeah. This is false right here. They didn't just let it happen. I mean, you could infer that, but again, they were actually.
That must have been too. That they were goading them in Japan into attacking. I mean, we were having a you know, like a sea, you know, like trying to move stuff, and we were actually helping supply stuff to the enemies of the Axis, you know. So that's why they wanted to attack us, you know, and we were battling with them over like Hawaii.
We supplied the Axis too, though, if you want to get honest about it, though.
Yeah. I watched a bunch of I watched a bunch of stuff about the U-boats and the the stuff that, and just how many ships were sunk? It's massive.
That's why I say there's a lot of nuance to those things, because it's not just clear cut. Oh, well, they had some kind of information, so that means they let it happen. That's
I don't think FDR. I don't
Yeah.
think FDR had anything to do with
They're
you know, the death of all those people at Pearl Harbor. Just like I don't think that George W. Bush had anything to do with 9/11.
So, just while we're on the subject, Daniel, if you would like to discuss these things with me, again, it doesn't have to be on stream. I would like to do it on a stream so it benefits others. But if you'd like to discuss these things with me, hit me up at the KentuckyAtheist@gmail.com and we can talk about it. And while we're plugging channel information real quick, thank you everybody that came and watched the show today. If you don't care, hit that like button and subscribe for me. It really helps the channel out. We do have memberships available starting at 99 cents, and I release members only content every single week. I have a Patreon that I put exclusive content over there as well, that you can't see anywhere else. Not a whole lot, because my Patreon isn't really booming or whatever, but I do put stuff over there that you can't see on the channel. A lot of the unedited stuff, behind the scenes things, my scripts, my thoughts, things like that are all over there. So, if you're interested in joining the channel and help support it financially, especially as we start this call-in stuff, because it is costing me a lot of money to do this, and I'm still going to do it no matter what. I want to do it. But you guys helping out with the channel, Robin helps out tremendously, has been a member and a Patreon supporter since way early on, was the first one of both. And those things are going to build the channel and make it better. I have to pay by the minute to do the call-in studio stuff. And Jess isn't doing all the stuff she's doing for free to make the channel better and look better, and all the new intros and everything. Jess has worked really hard on those. So if you want to donate to the Jess Fund, go ahead and pick up one of those memberships, send a super chat, super thanks, super sticker, or buy some of our merch. All right. Sorry I had to plug all those things, guys, but it's kind of necessary. Back on topic. Yes, get a hold of me if you want to discuss it, Daniel. The KentuckyAtheist@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you about it. And I think we could have a good conversation, because you seem to know a little bit about what you're talking about, but you are drawing conclusions based on small things rather than the whole picture. My opinion, by the way. All right. So let's steer it back to the election and Project 2025.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm on the mandate right now.
Okay. Now you have to stop that. You can't do that, Daniel. Now you're getting into conspiracy theory and all that. Again, there's things to talk about with that, but please don't promote conspiracy theory crap in the chat, okay? It's fine that you believe that or whatever, and you can think what you want, but I can't allow you to just spread misinformation. Whether that's true or not, you don't know it to be true. And given the climate of America right now, I think that all that you're doing is provoking people by putting forward conspiracy theories. Lots of people have lost family in 9/11 and the wars that followed, and take that very seriously. So just, if you don't care, let's not do that, okay? I don't care to have a conversation with you about that even, but message me and let's have that conversation, or let's do it and let everybody listen to it. Let's not do that in the chat, okay? Please. All right. Amber.
Oh, go ahead.
Tip your asteroid monarch $5. Thank you, Amber. Yeah. Thank you. And Jess thanks you as well. No, but for real, here's actually what went on for those of you that watch the channel and keep up with things. Jess is now my partner in this you know, adventure, I guess. And um, so I'm not really saying that, you know, you have to give me money or I won't pay her. I will pay her either way. But there is a percentage thing, and that's the only reason I say that, because we are partners in this. We're going in together. She agrees with my goals and wants to help in any way she can, and I don't want her to provide that help for nothing. So that's why we came to a decision to work together to try and reach people and build a bigger, better show, so that we can reach more people. So that's all it's about, guys. It's not about the money, really. If I never make another dollar off this channel, I'll still continue to do it. Not about that, never was. And if I was dependent on this income to live just from the channel, I would have died a long time ago. So it's not like I'm raking in the cash from this. Anyhow, yeah, you can say it's sure. Yeah, you can ask those questions again, Daniel. I said I don't care to have that conversation with you, but why must we do it publicly in the chat on a video about Project 2025? I mean,
yeah, I never said let him start.
Well, no, it's okay. I don't care to talk to the people in chat and stuff, but once you move on from talking about the subject to promoting conspiracy theory, then things change a little bit, is all. $5 from Nunt. Love the show. Down with Project 2025. Thank you so much, Nunt. I really, really appreciate that. So, yeah, no, it's not a matter of, look, I'm fine with people who disagree with me. I'm fine with that, and I would love to talk about it. And but it isn't always the best time whenever we've got a subject that we're going on about and stuff. I'm always down to have honest conversations with anyone that wants to have them, Daniel, you included. And when I say having things on, like if we do it on stream or whatever, you don't even have to come on screen on video. You can do audio only. You can even call in on one of our call-in shows, because I may make this political show call in too, actually. I think it would be a good idea. I just can't afford to do that quite yet. But you know, you're welcome to have that conversation with me, Daniel. But if we're going to have it, let's do it in an organized way to where not only you and I can understand each other and talk about the details of the things that you're mentioning, but you know, so that we can just have a better organized conversation rather than you trying to hit me upside the head with it while I'm talking about something else. I'm more than happy to discuss anything with anybody as long as they can be honest and respectful. I don't ask that you agree with me. I don't ask that you share my feelings, political views, religious views, or anything else. I just ask that you be respectful and let's have honest conversations. So if you want to do that, Daniel, we can. Again, it doesn't have to be anything public. I would love to talk to you about it, you know, anywhere. PC just put my Discord in the chat. You can find me there. There's lots of places you can get a hold of me and we can talk about these things, and I would love to discuss them with you. I honestly would, because I used to think the same thing. I used to be an Alex Jones following conspiracy theory nut. Back whenever 9/11, when the truth movement first became a thing and Lost Change came out and all that, I used to think all that stuff was the case. I was convinced that 9/11 was an inside job. So I understand like why people feel that way, but I do think there's important things that you have to consider, and that then you must reconcile if you're going to hold that as your position. So that's why I'm always down to have the conversation. Just like religious people, I do an atheist channel. It's not that I'm against religious people. I'm not. I lots of great believers all over the world. It's the things that they do and the information that they spread. Based on that, I want to have conversations about those things. I think that it's important as a skeptic that we challenge bad ideas when we see them, and we force people to reconcile their views with reality. And sometimes that's a difficult conversation, but that's what being an activist is about, right? So I appreciate you coming and talking to me, though, Daniel. I really do. Anyway, do you think I addressed that well? Did I cover it all?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Nunt is one of my friends. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're here watching today. I just got a message on my phone that who Nunt was. I was like, oh, we got a new person.
You good.
But yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to go back to this thing. I was sitting here reading so I can remind myself of.
Feel free to talk about the actual subject at hand, Robin.
Yeah, they want to increase our nuclear arsenal at a time when, you know, in the past we've been trying to get everyone to decrease their nuclear weapons capabilities, you know, and now and we're going to start treating China as an enemy. I mean, China is going to take this as a very aggressive. The plan that they have for handling China is very aggressive, and it's going to come across very aggressive to China and probably to Russia too, which is, I think, is not a good idea, actually. And they're going to stop the war on oil and natural gas. A war. We have a war on oil. You know, we give them trillions of dollars of subsidies every year, and there's a war on them. It just blows my mind. And there's a lot of stuff in here about students and gender studies and I mean, parents' Bill of Rights that says that no teacher can use pronouns without written and all this stuff, and they can sue teachers and get them fired if they, you know, step out of line. Oh, it just blows my mind, some of the stuff they're planning to do to us. It's just like every bit of progress that humanity has made over the last 40 years, they plan to take away from us just right away.
Yeah, no, that's what it's about. It's you have to take rights away from certain Americans in order to be in power and retain power and impose your will on the world at large. And that's, you know, that's what these strong men think it is to do. That's why North Korea looks the way it does. Not only do you have the most controlling authoritarian leader, one of the most in the world, but you see what effect it has. In order to assert that dominance and all those things, he had to take everything away from the people, because he was the one in control of everything. They had no freedoms. Having freedom means that you have control to do what you wish, loosely. And, you know, an authoritarian can't have that, or they're not an authoritarian anymore.
Yes, because the Republican Party knows they haven't won an election, you know, a popular vote.
Nope.
Since George W. Bush. I think he was the last one. He won one of them, the popular vote. So
yeah, you know, the first one.
They know that their policies are not popular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for what people who do support them, they've lied to them over the last so many years about, you know, how the lefts are going after our kids and trying to, you know.
Let's look at their actions just to make that decision. So in the years leading up to this, they've tried to do things to roll back civil rights and prevent minorities and black people from voting. Mm-hmm. And that's an absolute fact. They had there's a whole red binder about the whole thing, what they plan to do and how they wanted to take rights away from those people that vote Democratic. And
they actually passed laws to where they closed. What they did right before the election was they closed a bunch of polling places in areas where the minority vote was, so that they had to drive away a long way.
They make it harder.
They had to stand in line to vote, and it was a felony to give them a bottle of water.
That's
but let me tell you that some of those people stood in line in 2020 to elect Biden. Some of those people stood in line for 18 hours to cast a vote. And all I can say is that I've never had to do that. And
Yeah.
those are the people that saved this country.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. They, they can't straight up say black people can't vote. They can't point out one of these minorities and say, well, they don't vote Democrat or Republican, so let's not let them vote. So what they do is they make it harder or impossible in some cases for them to vote. And, maybe in many cases, this is about just keeping people from voting Democrat, and they know that these communities vote Democrat. Maybe some of it is that, but some of it is very, very racist. I mean, look at the some of the governors and stuff in the South, if you want examples of that. I think.
But the lieutenant governor of North Carolina is black, and he's the one that said liberals should be killed.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But that's one of the things they've tried to do for years leading up to this. So to act like that's not what all this is about now would be silly, because that's what it's always been about. It's always been about making the right people vote, because it's a big math problem, actually. And you can actually write this down and see it for yourself, which is called a proof, what I'm about to tell you. The thing that everyone always asks for. And so the percentage of Americans that support the Republican Party is much lower than the percentage of Americans that support the Democratic Party. But it's not about who supports who, it's about who votes. And so they try to do things to affect voter turnout in order to make those scales at least balance or go in their favor. That's why Republicans don't win the popular vote. They always just win the electoral college vote, because they do everything they have to just enough to get there. What Trump is wanting to do with Project, making there's been lawsuits in North Carolina, Louisiana, Wisconsin. They just won a big one in Wisconsin about gerrymandering these districts. Ohio, to make these
Wisconsin
to split the voter districts based on minority populations and poor populations. This is a thing that they've been doing for years, so it's not a surprise. The difference is that rather than wait till election time to try and rig all these things, they want to put laws in place to where they'll stay in power, to where they will for sure win at least a couple of elections, because they're gonna make it illegal to be most people. So they're gonna make it illegal to disagree and things. But
Daniel, I agree. I think they should get rid of the Electoral College. I think that it is a racist thing. It was a concession to the southern states during the time of the drafting of the Constitution, only because this is the only way they could get them to ratify the Constitution. And that was the most important thing to our founders right then, was getting this Constitution ratified and being it, because they knew we were going to be going to war against so it was a concession to the southern states.
You're right. The Electoral College is a bad thing, but what you're trying to say about it there in response to Nutt, who says it does matter to vote, is factually incorrect. There are laws that so let's explain how the Electoral College works real quick. It's not just the Electoral College votes for who they want to vote for. There are laws in not all states, but in many states, most states, that make it to where the slate of electors who are chosen for either candidate have to be chosen based on who wins X votes, whether it's a number of votes or districts or percentage or however. So that slate of electors, like the Electoral College, and what Trump tried to fix on January 6th was there was a slate of electors based on how the people voted. And that slate of electors, because they do it that way, though, and it's based on population, that's why you can win one and not the other. But it's not just they have the option to vote for whoever they want. That's not really the case.
Well, some states,
states do.
Some states nominate their electors, and usually, yes, they've traditionally always went by who won in their state.
It's different in different places.
But some states
some
don't
of them
have
split.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's two states
have. Yeah.
Two states are split. I think it's Nebraska. No, Montana or one of the western states up there, and then Maine.
Yeah. So
is one of these the state that splits.
But it's not just a case of they can vote for whoever they want. Again, you're partially right, but there's some nuance to what you're saying that makes it factually incorrect. But anyway,
but we need to get rid of it.
I think ranked voting is an excellent choice, but not everyone agrees with that either. So but not everybody agrees about anything in our country. Shit. But I think ranked voting has shown itself to be a system that's both fair, effective, and gives a chance for people outside of the two-party system to run effective campaigns.
See, again, our government is rigged up to where those people have a benefit anyway, no matter what, because of the Senate, because each state gets 2 senators. It will always be where the Senate is full of men who do not represent the majority of Americans. California, how many people live in California? They get 2 senators. Okay, yeah. Wyoming gets 2 senators.
Right.
I mean,
it's not balanced in that situation, right?
Wyoming is, there's more people live in LA than live in Wyoming and Nebraska and all that together. And so they get 2 senators. And like Northern California is wanting to break off and form their own state, actually. So they get 2 more senators. So even if we got rid of the Electoral College, white
it's
rural
not fair
voters,
representation.
No, white rural voters are more represented. Even if you got rid of it would still, because of the Senate, because the Senate actually still gives, but that would be their only. Yeah,
a state with almost no one in it has as much pull as a state with 80 times that many people. That's
in the Senate, in the Senate, and that's why it's been controlled the way it's been.
The House of Representatives is a little bit different, and it has its flaws too, especially when it comes to gerrymandering and things of that sort. I don't think they should be allowed to do that. I think it should be, districts should be split geographically, not demographically. But for some reason, they allow them to do that. I wouldn't
look at Jim Jordan. Look at a map that's got Jim Jordan's district on it. Yeah. It's a craziest looking district. And there was one guy he lived in a neighborhood and the cutoff line was his house. And then all of his neighbors were in a different district because they didn't like him and they wouldn't vote for him. What is that?
That's my bottle of pop, but because it's the same color as the screen.
It looks weird.
Yeah. Mountain Dew.
And we should, Nunt's right. Everybody else has, most other countries like Australia and stuff, you have a national day off and it's mandatory to vote. Yes. I mean, you have to go vote, actually, but they don't make it hard for you to vote. It doesn't take you hours.
Right.
Yeah. You don't stand in line for 18 hours to vote, and they let you off work. But that's the reason why there is no election day off work is because it disenfranchises poorer people by making them have to take off work to vote.
Yeah. What things that are practical though, and also Republicans would never go for anything that makes it to where everyone has an equal say. They don't want that.
Yeah, that's why that's why this is what they call systemic racism that they try to say doesn't exist. I mean, even the election process is full of systemic racism.
Yes, the Electoral College does override the popular vote. That has happened many times. It happens every time a Republican gets elected. North Carolina districts are so blatantly racist. North Carolina actually had several lawsuits against them because of this, and I think they won one of them.
Well, we won in Ohio and Wisconsin. Wisconsin had to redraw their maps. Ohio was and South Carolina, I think, or North Carolina one was.
I think it's North Carolina.
All the maps and didn't.
North Carolina was sued over one of their maps, the map they had drawn that excluded a bunch of black voters, and they actually won that. They didn't have to change it. They do in the future, but it doesn't have to be changed before this election.
Yeah, for
which
this
is
election.
awful.
And they actually they do voter purges, and that is in Project 2025 actually, that every state will have to do voter purges regularly. So before every election, way before every election, make sure that you are still registered to vote, because if you don't vote in two elections or two voting, two things, they can throw your thing out. And if they have any kind of, I mean, they'll purge you for anything, and not let you vote that time. And like in Kentucky, there is no same day. I mean, you have to be registered to vote for what, a month ahead of time.
And also, let's be clear about why they have been purging all these votes and stuff. So Trump wasn't president, but you'll notice in the midterm elections, he supported and endorsed a bunch of people, most of which lost. But a lot of people that he wanted to empower won these local government seats in the Secretary of State, and the people that carry out the voting whenever we vote for president. And the issue is that now he has people in place again to do what he wants to do. That's Project 2025 is just built off of this whole thing. That's the thing, is to get loyalists in place to carry out Trump's will, and people that will. That's why he supported so many extreme people in that election, because he wants people in those places of power so that if he doesn't win, he can challenge it and whatever.
Or they'll just give him 11,789 votes.
I made a prediction. I made a prediction even before Bill Maher made the prediction that whenever Trump was elected last time, that he wouldn't leave office ever willingly, because his whole thing is he will never admit defeat or that he's wrong in anything. And even though we have a term limit on presidents, if Trump is elected, he will not willingly leave office when his term is up. He will never do that. It will never happen.
Well, he'll die eventually, but they're going to rig it to where that a Democrat won't be able to win the election.
Yeah, Trump will be like Putin. Even if he doesn't retain the job of presidency for some odd reason, he will still be there. He's not leaving. He's not giving up power once he gets it. It will never, ever, ever happen. Not willingly, anyway.
And the FBI, I was laughing about what's funny about. I think it's so funny that they accuse the FBI and the CIA and the Secret Service of being politicized. They're the Secret Service deleted January 6th text messages.
Yeah, I know.
And now they are trying to say that Biden, has the secret. I mean, there's never been a Democrat in charge ever of the FBI. Never, not once. There's never been a head of the FBI as a Democrat. And the Democrats have not always been the liberal party. You know what I mean? Actually, the Republicans were the liberals for a long time.
Oh, no, the middle has changed.
But both ends have changed. I mean,
well, because the middle changed, they scooted farther.
Yeah, well, I mean,
right.
But Roosevelt,
the Democratic Party is now
liberal.
conservative.
Roosevelt was liberal.
Yeah,
like Eisenhower, and it was not like conservative, really either.
Yeah.
And so it's changed. It's flip-flopped several times in our history.
We're almost to the point where George Bush Jr. was a liberal president.
Yeah, he's left-leaning.
Yeah,
but our far left is like center right to most of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's moved over to the point where there isn't left or right anymore. There's right and far right. And progressives may be closer to left, and some libertarians, depending on.
I hope though. France, we thought they were going to be just really far right fascists, and they're kind of stuck actually to where they aren't going to be able to do much. They're kind of deadlocked. Yeah, they don't have no one side is in charge of that country. And in England, the UK throw the Tories out on their ass and put the Labor Party in. So they fought off fascism, and we can too. I feel like we can too. The only thing that's really causing the major problem is Biden. But whether you're muted, Joe.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had somebody in the room.
You were. I thought you were talking to us.
No, yeah, I should have made it clearer what I was doing.
yeah. They you know, what was I saying? I forgot now what I was saying. But they fought off the fascists, and we can too. I believe we can. We have to. We just have to.
Yeah.
But Biden is a big problem. I was one that was hollering, leave Biden alone a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now, though, I'm beginning to think that I don't know how that looks to get him out of there and it not turn out to be a
because it's a weird thing. It's not about.
I don't think he can beat. I don't think he can beat Trump. I do not think
for most Democrats, it's not about loving Joe Biden and everything he does. It's very much voting against Republicans and especially Donald Trump. And again, I wouldn't care if they put Joe Biden's corpse in there. I would vote for it.
Yes, but the swing voters won't.
Oh no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
That's who decides every election is those center swing voters that are not loyal to either party, and those are who decides in the independent voters. And
we're not talking about today. The whole subject of this wasn't talking about why a particular person shouldn't be president. It's about what that person plans to do as far as the other people appointed in government, which are the people that run this country. That's what the issue is. Any Republican put in office is the same plan. Any Democrat put in office is going to fight against these things. That's the thing. The Joe Biden, I don't care much for Joe Biden's past and lots of things to do with Joe Biden, but I would vote for the color blue just to vote against Trump. Because
I would too, but I don't think everybody will.
I don't either.
Not everybody is a never Trumper. Some of them are sitting out there. There are actually people who are on the fence going, which one of these looks better? And they can't even say that they think Biden looks better.
I'm not suggesting that this is what will happen or even should happen. It's just my personal opinion on that. Just how I feel about it. It's not. I'm not telling anybody else that they should vote for anything other than Trump. But I feel like you should personally. That's how I feel about it. I feel like if you're voting for Trump, then you support the bigotry, xenophobia, racism, and greed that are all cooked into Project 2025.
And January 6th. And,
he's a
and
traitor.
Sexual assault.
Yeah.
And,
and if we want to talk about if the comparison, which I know this is about image and swing voters, how they're going to vote and stuff, but if we were to actually have a conversation about people who are behaving with senility, I think that you have many more examples of Trump saying crazy shit that don't make sense on stage.
I agree.
Than Biden. Yeah. Now, does that matter? Does that matter to the election? No, it's about who can win.
Yeah. I don't think they can beat him. I don't think that Biden can beat him.
If somebody else can beat Trump, if Kamala can beat Trump, then get Joe the fuck out of the way and let her do it. That's what I think. She
knows better than he does, but I'm not sure she can. Yeah. I'm not sure she can.
But I don't know either. But it's not about the individual. It's really about what that party has in store for our country. It's about voting for democracy or against it. It's not about these individuals. They don't matter. They're just they're equivalent to the manager at McDonald's.
She posed better than Biden, Earl. She does. She posed better than Biden.
Yeah,
she actually does.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to like her, and that's the problem. A lot of people don't like her.
And going over, if Biden does step down, going over her is going to. This is just a mess, is what it is. Because if they have to remove Biden forcefully, that's going to be a mess. Okay,
Biden was the guy.
And if they go over Kamala,
Yeah.
That's going to piss off a whole bunch of the base.
Yeah. They're not gonna go. There's not a good answer here, because now that Joe Biden has shown that he has these issues, there's not a good answer.
No.
Because just like the country is split on Democrat and Republican, we have splits within the party now. Some people say, no, Joe Biden's fine, elect him. Some people say he's not. Some people say Kamala. Some people say never Kamala. You know, we have all these issues. No, I agree.
I know it. And that's what matters. No, she doesn't. Yeah, she does. She does.
Yeah, she beats Trump in there were multiple polls. On a couple of them, she did not beat Trump, but in most of them, she does. Biden does not beat Trump in the polls right now. That's just factual information.
Yeah.
But
you know, everybody's calling for. Let's see, which I didn't even really know some of the people that they were naming, like, to take Biden's place. I didn't even know. You know, like Andy Beshear. I hate to give him up, but
good job, Earl. Good job. That's what we care about. We don't care if you like her. Just don't vote for Trump.
I'd hate to give him up. California's governor, Jamie Raskin.
Yeah. Oh, Jamie Raskin's so awesome.
Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who obviously never even considered.
There are some really good people.
White House for the White House.
and not every Republican is a bad person. That's not.
Yeah, but they're all loyal to them. Or the ones.
Now but I think there are some Republicans who, you know, their worst thing is they vote with these other people, but they don't agree with some of the agenda and stuff.
You are agreeing with
them
right now.
Oh no, listen. I'm just saying it's still unethical for them to do it. I'm just saying that they don't agree with these things, and given a better choice, they would make a better choice.
I mean, like, look at Mike Pence. Mike Pence.
Yeah.
He won't endorse Trump.
No.
I mean, I don't like Pence. You know what I mean? I didn't like Pence the whole time.
But Ted Cruz will clap for him after he's out of the room.
At least he has some sort of principles. Okay. And Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and even Romney. You know what I mean? I voted for. I'm a registered Republican because we have no Democrats, here. So I voted for Nikki Haley in the primary, just to do the protest thing against Trump. And that bitch has already went back and sucked up, you know what I mean? And DeSantis and
Nikki Haley, they got video. She's on stage kissing Trump's ass, and he's sitting in the seats talking shit about her.
He's smirking. Yeah. I mean, I would have. I don't know. I just can't understand. These people have no principles. They have no
fucking spine at all.
They have no principles. None at all.
Yeah, it's all about power.
Well, you're probably right, Daniel. But he will not do. He's kind of in his thinking. He's kind of messed up. He's in that conservative mindset of thinking that allows him not to be able to see issues beyond.
So this is actually an interesting thing of because of Pence's actions, we can see how he prioritizes his principles is what we see.
Yeah.
And he wasn't willing to do what Trump asked him on January 6th, but you're right. He said awful things on his radio show about drugs and people with AIDS and things like that. I don't agree with Pence on almost anything.
No,
but I do agree that it was his job to follow the Constitution on January 6th, which is what he did. So
that's a lot of apologies for tobacco places. The AIDS thing, though, that wasn't just Pence. That was Reagan. Reagan never even said the word AIDS for like 11 years or something. Before, what was it?
Pence had a radio show where he said some awful things about people with AIDS and stuff. Is what I was referring to.
Yeah. I mean, I mean that's what I'm saying. Though they pushed not doing anything for them.
And he's a religious extremist.
He is. He's nut. He's nut.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, I wouldn't vote for him for president for nothing.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't probably vote.
But I do agree with him on one thing. So.
But I do appreciate the fact that he did not help Trump to overthrow our gut. And I do appreciate the fact that he's not lined up behind the man who had someone, they built a gallows for him. At least
Absolutely.
At least he's got enough balls to say, no, I'm not supporting that guy that supported hanging me.
That tried to have me killed. Yeah. Ted Cruz would.
Yes, Ted Cruz would. Yes, he would. He would go up there and shave his neck for him, probably.
Well, all right, guys. We've been going on for 2 hours now, so let's wrap this thing up here.
Go
ahead.
also, I wanted to say that Dan Packman, that channel there,
Yeah.
he has a free, and I'll try
David
to
Packman.
David Packman, he has a free what they call white papers on this too.
Yeah.
You can go to his channel and get that too. So he has some white papers, so it's got more information on it too.
PC will drop you guys a link if you want to check that out. You got anything you want to plug yourself or anybody else, or anything good coming up you want to talk about before I close this out?
No, I'll just come back, I guess, y'all.
Yeah, we'll continue this. And actually, I plan to continue this. I really think it's important to me to talk about these things. And today, especially with the list of things, I just wanted to, of course, we're going to give our opinions on things, but I wanted to give you the factual information about what Project 2025 is, and what happens if Trump becomes our president. I think it was important to put the facts out there rather than just our opinions on these things. And while we covered a lot of stuff, it wasn't exhaustive. We didn't cover everything. There's still more bad stuff in there.
Oh, there's all kinds of it.
Yeah, lots and lots. And with that, though, I will be continuing to do a political show once a week. I will be continuing to do a show on Sundays at 2 p.m. live. My guest this Sunday will be Scarlett, who has an excellent channel. You can find all her information on my community page if you want. I will be doing a show on Mondays now. The Monday show is going to be the Kentucky Atheist Call-In Show. And we've got a number and a web link for anybody that wants to join the conversation, give us your input, argue with us, tell us we're wrong, whatever. Yeah, we're going to put that out there so we can communicate with more people. I mean, it's just about being able to have these conversations with more people that want to have these conversations. And if you want to challenge our ideas, or if you want to call and just say, hey, hello, or whatever, there'll be a phone number for those of you that want to do that. And I will, of course, continue to do at least one member's stream every week. Those aren't always scheduled. They're just whenever I can do them. So our first call-in show, which I'm going to show the intro for it one more time because I think it is just so badass. Jess made this, but the first call-in show will be Monday, and Grayson from the channel Based Theory will be my guest. And we're going to talk a little bit about evolution, abiogenesis, and things like that. If you disagree with us, call in and let us know. Check out this intro.
They call me a god. 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 Let's go.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. That just her sending me that intro got me so much more amped just to do that show because I love it. It sets the mood, and it's just, I love it. Jess is so awesome. But so Jess has put together those things, and I've been working my ass off trying to get the call-in stuff to work right, which I think I found.
Yes, did you get it fixed? We worked on it for yesterday, but like we could hear, I could hear Joe, Jess could hear Joe, but me and Jess could hear each other.
I think I did figure it out, but I'm gonna have to test it again to make sure. And I added a new virtual mixer to it. The one that Stephanie uses, a paid program that allows you to have more control over your audio and stuff. So I think I've got it figured out.
Do you use OBS?
No, no, I could use OBS, not to do the mixing part, I would still have to use a mixer, and OBS makes my computer run shitty. So I do plan to switch to OBS in the future. Though.
Mark and Peter are going to start doing a show on like OBS.
Yeah,
on helping people.
Oh yeah. The OBS guys. Yeah. I talked to Peter today actually. But yeah, I'm not using OBS. I'm using Voice Meter Potato, which is a paid version of Voice Meter that allows you to control like 4 different channels of audio at the same time. The one I was using only allowed for 2, and I needed at least 3 to make sure everybody could hear each other. But it gives me a lot more control over the audio. Plus, I've learned how to mix audio a lot better now. Voice Meter, yeah. It's a virtual mixer. And so, yeah, I'm going to be using that. And I think it works really good now that I've learned how to do it. And it's awesome that I've learned how to do something new. It's a pretty cat. But
she's fat. Look how fat she is. She I don't know. She's the same little old cat I used to have. She got fixed and she just swelled up like crazy.
Only here on the Kentucky Atheist can you see Robin's fat pussy.
Oh my gosh, I'm mad I didn't think about that.
It'll be in the description, guys.
Make sure that no more silence in gun violence.
Yes. What we got? I use StreamYard as a source and stream with OBS. Yeah, no, that's how I'm going to end up doing it. Is StreamYard will just be the backstage, and then I'll actually stream directly from OBS. And I'll just capture the stuff on OBS and then use a couple scripts to make it all work together. And I know how to do those, but when OBS is running, it causes some problems with StreamYard, even if I'm not airing yet. So the problem will be, even if I'm capturing the video from StreamYard and putting it through OBS, I'm still going to end up with all the roboting and stuff that takes place in StreamYard because my computer can't handle it. So I've got to upgrade some stuff. Your accent keeps getting thicker. Who was it that called me one day? Oh, it was Al from Canada. Al Trucker called, and he was like, hey, after watching your show, I went to talk to my wife, and she asked why I was talking like a redneck.
I say, I don't feel like I have an accent until I hear myself on, and then it sounds like I sound like a bale of hay.
Yeah. Mine's pretty bad too, and I don't know. That's why I can't see. I need to go clip my shows and make like shorts out of some of the good stuff in them, but I can't stand to watch my own videos or hear my own voice because I hate it. So I won't do it. I don't do it, and I need to. But anyway, enough bullshitting and taking up everybody's time. Let's get out of here. So one more time with all the stuff. Thank you, everybody, for coming and watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. If you want to become a member, we have them starting at 99 cents. I have a Patreon. So both of those things get you exclusive content that you can't get any other way, and it supports the channel and helps us do these call-in shows things. So I really, really appreciate it if you can help. But if not, just like and subscribe. That's really the best thing you could do. And you can always unsubscribe if I say something that upsets you. So with that, have a good one, everybody. Thanks for all your time. Have a good night. Later. Bye.